Welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one, we're going to be discussing why the narcissist stops talking to you. And I'm going to be giving you 7 reasons for that. Instead of listening to their excuses. Because what have I told you? You don't listen to the narcissist. They are master manipulators. They're never going to tell you the truth. They're never going to tell you the real reason why they're not talking to you. And instead they will make it about you, or they'll make it about some other factor that is outside of your control. But they're never going to give you the real reasons in most cases. If you want the real information for why a narcissistic person treats you a certain way, you've got to get that information from the experts. You don't get it directly from the source. Not when you're dealing with a narcissist, because they're liars, they're manipulators. They're not to be trusted. How many times have they lied to you already? How many times have they deceived you? And that's why, instead of asking them why they're no longer talking to you, you've got to get that information from the experts. Today I am inside, I'm in the condo. Got a nice pool here. I haven't used it yet. Maybe I will at some point, who knows. But yeah, keep in mind, when I'm talking about narcissists, I'm not just talking about someone who has the full-blown NPD disorder, which may make up quite a small amount of the population, depending on where you get the statistic from. Keep in mind that everyone is on this spectrum of either being codependent, a people pleaser, or being a narcissist. As psychologist Ross Rosenberg has mentioned in his book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, we are all on this spectrum. Some of us are more of givers, while others are more takers. And I would say from my research, most people are going to be leaning more towards the taking side. They're going to be more narcissistic. Doesn't mean that they're a full-blown narcissist. It does mean that they may have some narcissistic traits, that they're more inclined to take rather than give, to where you're going to be left with very little or empty-handed, even after you've given so much. Because most people tend to be narcissistic these days. They're leaning towards that side of the spectrum rather than them being codependent. So keep that in mind as we explore these reasons for why the narcissist has stopped talking to you. Because this doesn't just apply to full-blown narcissists. This is for anyone who is leaning towards that side of the spectrum. Anyone who is more self-absorbed, lacking empathy, exploitative, grandiose, these kinds of traits. So typically a narcissist is going to stop talking to you as a part of a manipulation tactic, or because their needs or expectations are not being met. Because remember, since they're leaning towards the narcissistic side of the spectrum, they're more takers rather than givers. And they may also use this as a tactic when they stop talking to you, so that they can then get more from you. So the first reason why a narcissist stops talking to you is as a form of a punishment. They give you the silent treatment to control you when they feel insecure. So that's typically if they feel criticized, rejected, or if you bruise their ego, then they might stop communicating with you to make you feel uncertain or guilty. Of course, in some situations, their silence may not be a punishment for you. It may intend it to be, but it may actually just give you peace, because then you no longer have to deal with their nonsense. So if they notice that it's not affecting you, then typically they will come back. The second reason why a narcissist stops talking to you is due to a loss of interest. And you can interpret that in two ways, because it could be you having a loss of interest in them, or them having a loss of interest in you. And also you losing interest in them. Typically that will eventually cause them to lose interest in you as well, because they thrive on attention, admiration, and validation. So if you're no longer providing this to them, they may disengage or seek it elsewhere. And even if you are providing it to them, even if you are giving them attention, validation, admiration, money and resources, even if you're giving them all of these things, it's still never going to be enough for them. They are insatiable. They're never going to be satisfied. And this is why they tend to have multiple sources. They have other people that they're talking to as well. But many of you don't view relationships in that way. As normal people, we just don't. But narcissists do. They see it as though people are objects that exist to serve them. So they're entertaining multiple prospects at one time. And it doesn't mean that all of those are intimate partners. They can have many other sources of supply. They can have people on the sides. But then also they can have other people, such as people at their workplace. Or they may have someone who they regularly see at the supermarket. It could be a family member, a friend. They have sources of supply everywhere. Narcissistic people are never exclusive. They're never loyal. They're never devoted to just one person. That same attention, admiration, and validation that you are given to them, and even in that way that they are reacting emotionally to you, that's not exclusive to only you. They're doing that with many other people as well. Because it's never enough for them. They are insatiable. And this is what they do all day, every day. And many of you won't know about this. But I've had experiences with many narcissistic people, and I've seen it myself. And some of them, they even told me this. Of how, yes, they have people everywhere in the town or city where you live. They may have people at the supermarket, at the bank, at their workplace, at the gym, the people who work there, and maybe acquaintances that they have met there. They've got people everywhere, sources of supply, who are giving them attention, validation, and admiration. And if they have a problem with you, they may just play the victim to those sources as well. And then those people may become a shoulder for them to cry on. So they are never exclusive to you. Anyone you see who is self-absorbed, lacking empathy, grandiose and exploitative, these types of traits, they're never going to be exclusive to you. Even if you're in a relationship, even if you're married, even if you have children, it doesn't matter. They're never going to be exclusive to you. Not with those traits. Because it's just the nature of that type of personality. Is that they're always going to need more. And that you're never going to be enough for them. Because especially after that newness wears off, they're always going to be craving more. And it's going to feel so much better. It's going to make them feel so much more alive to get that from someone new. Someone who doesn't know who they are. Someone who hasn't had to deal with them already. And that's why they tend to be unfaithful. Even though many narcissists, they may not be physically unfaithful. They may not go and sleep with someone else. But actually, I've done the research and I found that emotional cheating is far more damaging to a relationship or a connection than physical cheating. And that's especially something that narcissistic people will be doing because, of course, as we know, they thrive on attention, admiration, and validation, which they can get even by not being intimate with someone. And research shows that it's more damaging to relationships than physical cheating. Just because we don't see it that way, just because we may feel more hurt if our partner was to physically cheat on us, the reality is that the research shows emotional cheating is far worse. The third reason why narcissists stop talking to you is as a form of emotional manipulation. So they may be ignoring you as a way to test your boundaries, to gauge how much effort you will put into chasing them, which then reinforces their sense of power. Because maybe by them being present, by them being around you, by them being there for you, you no longer feel like you have to be the way that it was before, where they had you running endlessly on a hamster wheel trying to please them. And then they may sense that, so then they pull away. They withdraw, hoping that you're going to chase after them, hoping that you are then going to do more. And you're just going to do everything you possibly can to get them back and to try to make them happy. But of course, if they're still there, then you're not going to chase after them because they're already there. So it just ignites your desire, your longing and yearning for them when they distance themselves from you, and that's what they want. That's what every narcissistic person wants, is for someone to beg them, long and yearn for them, and just be desperate for them to come back. They want you on your hands and knees. That's what every narcissistic person wants. And that's why they will ignore you as a form of emotional manipulation. The fourth reason why a narcissist may stop talking to you is due to perceived criticism or conflict. Narcissists are highly sensitive to criticism or disagreement. So if they feel like you have challenged them or you didn't meet their expectations, then they may withdraw as a defensive response. Because when a narcissist is being criticized, when they feel challenged, or if you're not up to par in their eyes of how they expect you to be for them, they see that as an attack on their character. They're seeing it as though they deserve better, or as though they shouldn't have to tolerate any criticism from you and you should just be happy with whatever you get from them, as though you should just see it as a privilege that they're even around you or that they're even talking to you. And that's how, if you don't tolerate it, if you don't put up with it, and instead you do criticize them, then they will take it as an attack on their character, and they will then withdraw as a defensive response. Because the criticism triggers their sense of rejection or abandonment, and possibly exposure as well. So that's where they tend to back away then. And also keep in mind that after all of the time that they've been around you already, and all of the things that they've done to you, the effect that they've had on you, every time they're around you, they have to see that. They have to see the effects of their actions on you. And as I've spoken about before, it's essentially like if a narcissist was physically abusive and they put their hands on you, they bruised you. Now, every time that they see you with that bruise, it triggers them. It makes them angry. It makes someone who abuse you even more, because then they feel shame. They're seeing the damage that they have caused to you, which they know is wrong. They know it is bad. They've seen what they've done to you, the effects that they've had on you. And it causes them to feel shame. It challenges their false character. It reminds them that they're not perfect. Because if they were perfect, they wouldn't have done those things to you. They would have been loving and caring. And this doesn't always have to be a physical bruise. Just seeing the way that you react to them. Seeing how much you changed since the beginning. All of these things will trigger them, because they know that they are the cause of that in you. They know that they have done all of these things to you and had this effect on you. And so every time they see you, every time they're talking to you, it triggers their shame. And yet many of you wonder why. It's like they're angry for no reason. It's because they're seeing the effects that they've had on you. And it makes them feel sick inside. Because it reminds them what a monster they are, for them to be capable of doing that to you. And this is why many of them will just pull away. They'll just withdraw. Because every time they have to see the effects that they've had on you, it just makes them feel bad about themselves. They don't feel any remorse, guilt. At least in many situations, they won't feel guilt. In some, they might. But yeah, they don't really feel bad for you. They don't want to help you. It's more just their feelings about themselves. They feel like they're bad people. And that's why they then withdraw. The fifth reason why a narcissist stops talking to you is because it's the discard phase. In relationships with narcissists, there's an idealization, evaluation, and then a discard. So they may have stopped talking to you because they've discarded you. So now they've cut off communication so that they can then distance themselves emotionally from you. Which then leads to the sixth reason why a narcissist stops talking to you, which is to then seek new supply. Because as I mentioned earlier, they seek attention from multiple sources. One person could never be enough for them. They're insatiable. They always need more. And especially if they find someone who feeds their ego more effectively, someone who makes them feel more desirable, more important, more powerful, then they will shift their focus to that person and reduce their contact with you. Because with narcissists, it's all about their image. It's all about the external. It's all about how everything looks to people. And they want to feel good about themselves. They want to feel like they look good. They want to prop up this image, and they want to be something ideal. They want to get that attention, the validation, admiration. And from the people that they want to get it from. And that's why they seek a new supply who feeds their ego more effectively. But keep in mind that this is all just superficial. It's not about connection. It's nothing like what they had with you. Because if it was about connection, everything wouldn't be all superficial. It wouldn't be all about feeding their ego, making them feel important. They would be able to deflate and humble themselves instead of always being so grandiose. But of course, we don't see that with narcissistic people. It's all about their image. It's all about what looks good in front of other people. It's all about this reputation because it's fake. And it's fake because it's more about what other people see, how other people perceive of it or think of it, rather than what they think of it and the connection and about what's good for you. It's just all about themselves. It's just all about propping up their false image. So you haven't really lost anything because you never had anything to begin with. It was all fake. It was all superficial. It wasn't about connection, intimacy, love. It was all superficial. It was all about this false deceptive appearance. That's only intended to deceive people and make people think that there is this ideal connection when there isn't. Because when everything is just focused on the external and how it looks, there can't be any connection there. And as Dr. Ramani said, I mean, the better a relationship looks on social media, the more toxic it's likely to be in real life. And that's really what we see with narcissists. And that's how people may have felt about your relationship with them, is that it looked so good. It looked so great on the outside. And yet, behind closed doors, you were secretly suffering and no one knew about it. This is what happens with narcissists because it's fake. If it wasn't fake, then you would be happy. You would be feeling good. You wouldn't be feeling miserable, misunderstood. You do because it's not real. And yeah, they'll seek attention from other people as well. They'll find a new supply to feed their ego. And that's how you know when you see this false image coming up again, if that's not real too. It's just as fake as what they had with you. The seventh reason why a narcissist stops talking to you is because they feel unchallenged or bored. Now, I know we talked about how they may stop talking to you because they feel challenged. But also, I mean, narcissists, they crave stimulation and excitement. They want to be challenged sometimes. They want to provoke you. They want to get you worked up because that's their idea of fun when you're fighting. When you're rolling around in the mud with them, they hate peace. They hate stability. They hate it when everything is calm and quiet. They don't want to connect to themselves, and that's how they can't connect to you, because they can't be vulnerable. They've got to constantly distract themselves. There has to be chaos, disorder. And without that, they feel unchallenged. They feel bored, because that's their idea of fun. Their idea of fun is very different to yours. It's the opposite of what you believe to be fun. And that's how you can ever have fun with them. Because they love challenging people, mocking, ridiculing, gossiping about them. They love all of that stuff. That's their idea of fun. And so if nothing like that is happening, and this is why what happens when you go grey rock, when you cut off your emotional supply, when you stop reacting to them, when you stop validating the illusion, complimenting them, admiring them, when you stop reacting to them negatively, getting upset, angry, when you stop all of that, they get bored. And that's typically when they will drop you and find a new supply. Because that's all that they want from you are your reactions. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. Anything else you had with them does not matter. It does not matter. It doesn't matter about your job, your business, your family, your children, the plans that you have for the future. None of that matters to a narcissist. All that matters is emotions and reactions. Provoking people, enticing them, getting them all worked up, whether it's in a negative or a positive way. That's all that matters to them. Anything else is irrelevant. It's obsolete. They will sacrifice it all just for attention. As we see many people do in the world today. I mean, just look on TikTok. You see people these days that will destroy their reputation. They will throw it all away just for some attention because they're bored. They want excitement. They want people's reactions. They want people talking about them. They will do anything to get that because they didn't get that in their childhood. Their emotional needs were not fulfilled. So now all they care about is just the stimulation, getting people to serve their need for novelty. And if you're not willing to give that anymore, then they will disengage. So those are the 7 reasons why a narcissist stops talking to you. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful so far. There are also some other reasons, some bonus reasons that I will give to you as well. So some other possible reasons why a narcissist may stop talking to you are they could be cutting off communication as a way for them to reassert their dominance or control. Because then they leave you wondering what went wrong. And then they maintain the upper hand emotionally. So it may cause you to doubt yourself and blame yourself. It may also be an avoidance of accountability. If they feel confronted or accountable for their actions, then they may withdraw so that they can then avoid facing uncomfortable conversations or situations. They may also stop talking to you to protect their ego. Maybe they see a potential threat to their self-image, such as being criticized or exposed. So they will then retreat to preserve their sense of superiority. They may also stop talking to you as part of a strategy to where they will then resurface later on. Some narcissists do stop talking as part of a long-term manipulation strategy. So they might cut you off temporarily only so that they can then reappear later. And they will then be expecting you to be grateful for their return. They may also stop talking to you to project blame. If they believe that you have done something wrong, even if it's just fabricated, they may withdraw so that they can project the blame onto you and absolve themselves of responsibility. Some narcissists may also stop talking to you as a result of an emotional burnout, because narcissists operate at an emotional high. They're always just constantly moving and pursuing people because they're constantly seeking new sources. They're constantly seeking new supply. So they're constantly on the go. And that's why at some point they may feel overwhelmed or depleted. This can happen typically when you go grey rock, because then they're no longer getting that supply. So then they may retreat temporarily so that they can recharge. But this is different to an empath who is constantly giving their energy out. They're constantly giving people their emotions and reactions. And I know myself as an empath, I mean, I'm constantly giving my energy to everyone. I'm giving them my empathy. And then by the end of the day, I feel completely drained every day. So, yeah, there's definitely a difference there. I mean, for narcissists, it's because they're constantly on the pursuit. They're constantly extracting validation. Well, as for empaths, it's because they're constantly giving. But yeah, these are the reasons why a narcissist stops talking to you. 13 reasons in total. Let me know how you're doing in the live chat. And let me know if you have any questions. I've just been working on a new video which will be up later today. In the next 7 hours, or 7 to 9 hours. Somali Dahir says, I miss my daughter for 16 years. Yeah, it can be tough with narcissists, I mean, because they lack empathy. They don't care about you or the child, and they can withhold the child from you. And typically they do until the child is 18, when they become an adult. And that definitely relates to the reasons that I've given in this video. I mean, this is why they don't let you talk to the child or let the child talk to you. All of the reasons that I mentioned. I mean, above all, it really is just a punishment. It's meant to hurt you. And of course, it also traumatizes the child as well. And it just reshapes the rest of the child's life without your presence. Again, narcissists, they don't, just because it's a child, it doesn't mean that they care more. Child or not, the narcissist is not going to care. It's still going to be all about themselves. And actually, the child is a source of supply. They use the child to feed their ego as well, or as an emotional punching bag. And they feel justified and entitled in doing so. They believe that it's their right. But this is typically how it goes. I mean, the codependent or empathetic partner is typically the one who is kept away from the child, while it's the narcissist who is raising them. And that's typically why, most people in this world are narcissistic. I'm very happy for Kevin from the Royal We, because from what I know, he does have custody of his children. So although it's quite rare, it's good to see. And also Michelle Neves as well. It's good to see, that there are empaths out there who do have custody of their children. Because empaths are excellent parents. They're able to fulfill the child's emotional needs. But yeah, that's it for this video today. If it was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and click all notifications so that you will be notified when I go live again. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate through my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. If you need guidance and support on your healing journey, you can book a one-on-one with me on my website, which is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also, you're welcome to follow me on my Instagram, which is Narc Survivor YouTube. I will have some more posts coming onto my stories soon from yesterday at the beach when I did the live video. All right, thank you all. You have a great day wherever you are, and I will talk to you soon.